Today, I'd like to talk with you about this beautiful little statue that hangs in our chapel of St. Stephen, the proto-martyr. You'll hear about St. Stephen's martyrdom this coming Sunday in our first lesson. Stephen stands here holding the stones with which he was martyred, and they are covered in gold leaf. The attributes of the saints who were martyred were often glorified because they took the saints to our Lord. We don't know when the church came by this beautiful little statue of Stephen, but it probably went way back. Of course, St. Stephen's Parish bought this property from the Church of the Transfiguration, who had used it as a chapel in the late 1800s, and moved here in 1896. And who knows, they might have brought this statue with them. Back in the day, when people traveled to Europe, they often brought religious trinkets back to their home church. That may be how we came by this statue of Stephen, and it is most certainly how we came by the painting of the Holy Family that is in the back of the nave. This particular statue is very sweet. When I first arrived in 1998, I found him in a closet. I thought he was gorgeous. So I very timidly hung him in the sacristy, thinking this altar guild probably would not mind having a religious statue on the wall, and they didn't. They liked him. Well, after a while, I thought to myself, he really should be in the church. So I asked trusted friends and some lay leaders, did they think that I could hang this statue in the chapel without causing too much of a stir? As you know, there was a time in the church when bringing statuary into a church might have caused quite a rift. But everyone assured me they thought that Christ and St. Stephen's would be fine with it. So one weekday, I was very emboldened, and I sneaked into the chapel and hung him on the wall. Well, the very next Sunday, those members of Christ and St. Stephen's who noticed this beautiful little chapel of Stephen were very pleased to see him here. He does add a lot of grace to our church, and he reminds us of so much of our history. We are the combined parish of two wonderful, old, long-established congregations, St. Stephen's and Christ Church. And so Stephen reminds us of our St. Stephen's side of the family, we might say. Next time you're in the church, walk on over to the chapel, have a look at him, introduce yourself, and say a little prayer in thanksgiving for all the blessings God has given this congregation over the years, and ask for God's blessings in the days ahead.